Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Jungle Gyms podcast. It's Tuesday, the 14th of December, and we're going to do another weekly roundup for you guys. To the viewers, thank you very much for tuning in. We're doing another episode live, so if you're watching it on YouTube, please hit that like button, please hit the subscribe button, and please give us a comment. And tonight we're joined by Paddy and McGinty. How you guys doing?
Grand, my man, grand. You?
I'm no bad. I've got a week off work. I've got hee-haw to do. But the weather's pish and it's December. I hate winter, but it is what it is. We've got football to occupy ourselves with. Aye, McGinty, how you doing? And what top are you wearing tonight?
Oh, I'm pretty good, man. Again, as always, happy to be back on. It's been a while. Today's top is a Club America away top from this current season. It actually has a little bit of a design down below. I'll post a wee picture on the Twitter feed post podcast.
Club America, which country are they from, sorry?
Mexico.
Nice one. We were actually talking about... We were actually talking about a Mexican earlier on, Paddy. You reminded me, so I want to actually talk about Ronnie Dyla here. So a massive shout out to Ronnie Dyla. But so he was he just managed his team to evict the New York City under the City group. So he won like the Conference Cup, and then they played against Portland Timbers, who won their Conference Cup. And they actually managed to win it for the first time ever. He was crying by the end of it. It looked so emotional. I actually had like a wee lump in my throat watching him getting so emotional. So chuffed. The guy. The reason that I was talking about the Mexican connections, Paddy, you just said that Efrain Juarez, the former Celtic player, is the assistant manager at New York City. Fucking hell, I never knew that.
You were shocked when I told you that.
Aye. Fucking hell, man. He's still quite young. He's only surely about 33 or something.
Oh God knows, mate. But he's the assistant manager. So as you said, that was the wee fella that was hugging on the touchline. But
how did that even come about? Because the times at Celtic never crossed paths. Efrain Juarez was a Lennon kind of wonder for a year or two before Dial.
Mowbray.
Mowbray?
No, it was Lennon signed him. I think what happened was Juarez was actually playing in America when Dyla got the phone call to go over with the manager. So much like as McGinty's probably going to tell us that John Collins was thrust on Ronnie Dyla, probably Efrain Juarez.
What's he for thrust?
Well, he's a handsome guy. You tell me.
Efrain Juarez might be able to tell you more about that kind of thing.
Aye, so yeah. I'm sure that's what it was, Gav. I'm sure Juarez was actually playing in America and then became a coach of some sort, and then Ronnie Dyla came to take over New York City, and Juarez in as his assistant.
Well,
small world.
Very.
You can see the Dyla connection going to the City group. I know Celtic don't officially have any connection to the City group. But obviously, we have a connection to Man City with the, what's his name, Laurel's kid and whatnot. So there's a small unofficial communications between the clubs. So you could see how Dyla could be nudged towards the City group, same way that Postecoglou gets kind of mentioned towards us, perhaps from inside that circle. But Efrain Juarez, small world, two people who've been at Celtic at different times.
Maybe you'll find Gavin Strachan. His laptop next
well,
season.
Maybe. He's making a good film star of himself with that laptop now as well.
Is he filming himself like?
No, just he's bit part role in the Christmas advert with the laptop being a little gag.
I thought you were maybe trying to reveal that he's made some sort of sex tape or something.
No, but again, ask Efrain Juarez about that. He might know more.
Aye. I don't know how many views that would get if they teamed up, but let's get the focus back to fucking Dyla.
Did you see what Dyla did? Just to bring it back on, do you see what Dyla did when he won the cup?
Aye. He did what Dyla always does. He stripped his boxers and started doing press-ups.
Brilliant. Did you not say he was going to do that at Celtic if he won like the treble or something? It was like it was going to be some big deal, but he never got the chance, unfortunately.
Aye, and if it wasn't for a piece of some of the worst cheating you've ever seen. We would have seen Ronnie Dyler in his pants. So I don't know.
You mean a ball hitting here is not a handball?
I don't actually know now. Thinking back, if that handball was maybe a good thing, you know what I mean? That we didn't have to see it.
Well, some people say that everything happens for a reason, but if you look at his CV on paper now, it's pretty fucking good. He's done it with that team in Norway. I don't know how to pronounce it. Strom Grosted, whatever, something like that. He's done it in Norway, done it for Celtic, and he's now done it in the MLS. That makes for pretty good reading for a CV. And the emotion on his face at the end of it, you don't really see many managers, just like kind of emotionally kind of capitulating like that. It just all kind of oozed out of him, all the fucking tears, the emotion, the joy. It must have been a difficult season one way or another, but I felt so glad for the guy. Aye, can you say you want to see them do well?
Definitely agree, Gavin. It's good to see that. I'm pretty sure that's everywhere he's went. He's won silverware. Don't know if he's missed somewhere. Excuse me, somewhere else. To a lot of people, it won't be, major honours or awards. Although I would consider winning the MLS Cup to be quite a good achievement, considering the caliber that's in that league these days. Winning silverware at Celtic and also winning silverware at Stormsgood Set. I think it was the first time they won it in God knows how many years, if not the first time. Mm-hmm. He's made history wherever he's went, sort of thing, within reason. Obviously not at Celtic, but you could look at his success rate, and people would still turn around and say not good enough for Celtic. I would say right guy, wrong time when he's at Celtic. To be honest, I think he's a quality coach, but he's just not fit for our setup. But you could compare him to Ange Postecoglou. Other than Ange doing the Australian job, they've both been successful in middle to kind of mediocre leagues. No offense to the Australian League or the Japanese League. Both have won wherever they've went. They've both been successful in their own rights. Ange Postecoglou comes here and he's getting raved about, rightly so. We're loving the football. We're loving the season so far. Ups and downs, but it's all positive going forward. Ronnie Dyler, not far off doing a similar kind of CV, I think.
I think that's a fair shout, considering their background. But obviously Scandinavia are more kind of known for football rather than Australians who've got other sports. But two figures who were low profile. They came in. Media at first were not easy on either of them. They were easy targets, and I think, as you said, right guy, wrong time. But for Postecoglou, it has been the right time as well. So far, so good anyway. And that's why he's won a lot of people over. Still, we're waiting for the first bit of silverware. Ronnie Dyler did get some silverware. But the start that Postecoglou's making is very encouraging so far. So, yeah, a bit of a correlation between the two of them in regards to their backgrounds and the previous success that they achieved. But anyway, moving on for that, guys. At the weekend, we played Motherwell. We won 1-0. That was on Sunday, and it was a game going into that where we were aware of the injury handicap that we had, and we came away with another casualty in Jimmy Forrest. But it was a 1-0 game. Paddy, were you happy with the performance, and do you think that the 1-0 scoreline was a fair reflection of our performance?
I think coming away from that game with 3 points, Gav, was a blessing. No that we didn't deserve it or anything, but I just thought that when you looked at the lineup and you saw straight away that David Turnbull was basically going to be your striker, like to come away for a game against Motherwell, who were a good team. All credit to Graham Alexander, and as I say, for us to win that 1-0 was it was good. It was a professional performance, as we said underneath. It was hard on the eye at times, but listen, we did our job. We did the best that we could with the squad that we could, and another 3 points on the board. So delighted with that.
Absolutely, and as you said, like going into the game, we didn't really know what the forward lineup would be. So Beaton was actually it's the usual defence and usual goalkeeper, of course, but the interesting talking point was the midfield and the front three. So we had Beaton, Cal Mack, and Rogic, but then you've got Turnbull as well. in Forest and Abada. So Abada and Forest being the two main attacking players, but then you've got Turnbull, who was most predominantly playing up rather than like a Rogic. Rogic made a lot of forward runs as well, but I think Turnbull was the most predominant one, playing in a kind of centre forward role, although he never kind of stuck to it like glue, such as you would find from like a Kyogo, a totally different style. We knew that going into the game. I thought that Mike Johnson could have started, and maybe Abada could have went up through the middle, or vice versa. But it was an approach which I didn't expect. With the 3 points, right now December is such a tough month. We've got 2 games going every week, so to come away with 3 points with this injury crisis, surely that's the main thing, and we shouldn't linger too much on the performance. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, pretty much, especially when you consider how many games we've played recently and the injuries that we have been kind of accumulating over the last couple of weeks. To come out of it with the 3 points, with a somewhat professional performance, as we stated at the bottom there, I'm just happy enough with that. We didn't expect much. We knew we were short on strikers. The managers made comments about not having the squad depth that he wants. We've all known that since the summertime. We're all looking forward to January. We all know the players that we're linked with. So it's it's good knowing what we're coming into. It's good having this foresight from the manager. We know what's happening. We know the situation we're in, and we know that we're having to deal with it, and we're dealing with it adequately. Professional enough performance. At the start of the season, I've kept saying that we always looked like we're going to concede goals at the start of the season, same as last year. It was always shaky defence kind of moments, but the last few games, the last month or two, and the Motherwell game there, I never thought we were going to concede. I've said it, I think the last time I was on a podcast with you guys, it's performances that are not scared that we're going to lose the game. I'm just wondering, when are we eventually going to get the goal? And what a goal it was from Tam Rogic to win us the 3 points. Beautiful goal. And that's all it takes. If it's 1-0 for every game in December, I'll take that.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we're winning.
Looked like a training ground routine then, Paddy, do you think?
I think the commentator actually mentioned that at the time. Forgive me, I can't remember who it was that said it. I think it was Tom Boyd. But no, it was a well worked piece for the corner. Tam Rogic ended up in the right position, and thank God he ended up in that position. Because see when you looked at that whole game, Gav, as I said, we started off with Turnbull up top, who I actually thought it was a really, really poor decision for the manager to play him at the focal point, because if you look at the midfield and all the players that could have been put up front, Turnbull's the least mobile. You know, he's not the fastest, he's not the quickest, he's not got a left foot.
Paddy, would it not make more sense if we're doing the kind of the 4-6-0 formation as such, with the false 9, Tam Rogic, to be the one to lead the line rather than Turnbull?
Possibly, but I mean, like, there was talk of for the day before that Postecoglou was bringing up young Joey Dawson to the B team. Now, I think if you've not got any recognised strikers in your team through injury or whatnot, then you go to the next thing. You go down to the B team and you pull in a striker. Now, he's a big lad. You know what I mean? He could have done a job, but fortunately for us, the formation that was picked worked. But that was solely, well, sorry, not solely, but it was massively because of Tam Rogic. Because yet again, that guy was just absolutely phenomenal. Everything positive that was happening for the Celtic kind of midfield or forward was all coming through Tam Rogic. Everything.
Paddy,
I thought he was sick.
Could I say, sorry for interrupting me, on the point that you raised, that if you don't have a recognised centre forward, the next logical step would be to promote youth. I agree with the sentiments of that, but correct me if I'm wrong, I think him and the other boy Moffat, I think they were promoted to the senior training, the training with the senior team. And I think that if you're good enough and if you can actually hold your own in the training sessions with the senior team, then the manager will have the confidence to play you as the number 9. Joey Dawson, as you said, he's a big guy. He doesn't have to be big. He could be small like Kyogo, you know, as long as he can actually make an impact. So I agree that is a logical thing, but I would also kind of say that sometimes if you don't impress, then the manager will just try and rejig it and that's why I understand why he went with a strange and unusual approach of Turnbull. But as we know, we got the 3 points in the end. Roger being the main man, and the other thing is, I think Roger could do that. Roger could play as the kind of false number 9. I remember the away victory over Aberdeen when we won 2-1. Roger was instrumental in the final goal where it was played up to him, and I think he may have had his back to a defender and he managed to kind of shimmy around and then play in a pass which led to the other pass, which was a goal. That's the sort of thing that Roger can offer you playing as a centre forward. But apart from that, mobility would be not as big as a tribute. So I see it both ways, but Rogic by far more efficient playing in the kind of number 10 role. But end of the day, like there's so many ways to we won at the end. But referee watch, can I ask you about that referee watch? What did you think of the officials for that game? There was a few offside calls, which should have been offside. I was sitting in direct line. And I was watching the Motherwell line. The Motherwell attackers, they had a few opportunities that it should have been flagged offside, and it was still let go. That was really pissing me off because we had, from where I was sitting, it was a perfect vantage point to see it. A few other times where there should have been a few yellows. What did you think of that?
Horrendous, mate. I think it was Ewan Robertson, was it? He was a referee.
Anderson.
Sorry, Ewan Anderson. I thought it was fucking horrendous. There was one. There was one in the first half, and basically our player, we'd get the break of the ball, and we were literally going on to a counter attack, and our player get body checked to stop that counter attack happening to the Motherwell player, and the referee just fucking the referee didn't even book it. It's a straight booking. You know what I mean? It's things like that, and you're looking at it, and you're looking at these fucking referees, and you're thinking, my God, these are fucking horrendous. These are either horrendous or these are cheating. What is it?
I think this referee, just to throw in a bit of the conspiracy theories, I think this referee's actually lined up for the Rangers game this weekend as well. So it'll be interesting to see how many quiet words he has with the opponents, or rather, what would be just normal players. Because he seems to be very happy to have quiet words with a lot of players, but a lot of the Motherwell fouls were getting to the point of, right, you've 2, 3, 4 in a row, which were all deemed yellow card worthy, but you're not getting anything, that sort of thing. And if a ref's going to want to play that way, I'm kind of all right with it if you do that consistently across the board for both teams on the day, and you do it consistently in your next couple of games as well, or a couple of games before, sort of thing. So interesting to see what he does in the next few games. Happens to say, and I'm going to sound like one of the kind of paranoid Tims kind of thing here. Ewan Anderson, for me, came across as one of the few kind of, I said on one of the forums the other day, 100% of referees in Scotland are just shit at their jobs. And I can say that because we're not getting paid and we're not going to get hauled up by any SFA or anything crap like that. They're just not really good at the job. They all failed a test a few years ago when they all had a fucking test at Christmas time, I think 5-6 years ago. They all fucking failed it. That's the level we're at. Did anybody get punished for it? No, because nobody's a professional referee, so nothing can get done about it. It's just fucking laughed about in the media. 100% of referees, to me, are just not good at the job. But a large percentage of them, in my opinion, are biased to a certain degree. Ewan Anderson falls into that small category of just being shit. Not biased, just being shit. And he was shit on fucking at the weekend.
That it was.
Well, as we know, one of the yellow cards that Motherwell did pick up was, I think it was a push just outside the box on Mikey Johnson, which led to the free kick. As we know, Turnbull took it, Rogic converted, and Graham Alexander, I don't know if he got a yellow card, so Graham Alexander being the Motherwell manager, I don't know if he got a yellow card for that or if it was a different incident. He was complaining about that in the post-match.
I'm sure he was protesting that, Gav, because he came out after the game and he says that it was a kind of light free kick. He basically said it wasn't a free kick, but if you look at it, the guy's pushed to a player. You know what I mean? So get up, you.
100%. Aye.
But
right,
I like McGregor's. involvement in that free kick, though. He, as much as it was obviously Turnbull that plays it, Rogic that gets the shot, is clearly off the training ground. But you can see the leadership from McGregor, and sitting in the middle in between the two players, you can see him organising and going, hold up a minute, guys. You there, let's do this one. Obviously dictating, let's play the training ground free kick. It worked a beaut, absolute beaut.
See, before we move on, right? Obviously, Forrest came off injured, and Mikey Johnson came off injured, but we're going to talk about it next. But there's a couple of comments, right? First one's for Kenny. He tried to make this comment earlier on. So Kenny says that he always liked Ronnie Dyler and felt some players chucked him under the bus because he wanted to change the culture at the club. That's absolutely spot on. Well, there's the old stories about the ketchup scandal, wasn't it? You know, that Lennon just basically let his players eat whatever, and Ronnie Dyler came in and told them that the ketchup was off the table, so to speak. And you had guys
that's what I mean with Collins. I think Collins is the one who took it too far at times. Both of them are very high on diets and fitness and athletes and all the rest of it, 24/7 athletes. But I think I want to believe Collins was one that drove it too far with the ketchup kind of stuff. But maybe it was Dial as well.
Maybe it was. But the next comment
by the way,
was... Sorry, Gavin, you go.
Personally, if you want to outlaw ketchup, then 100% go for it. For professional footballers, eat ketchup when you get home. Like Conte is like renowned for that sort of thing. Man, like, you're professional athletes and you want to have chips and ketchup. Get to fuck, man.
See, to be honest, Gavin, I don't actually disagree with the sentiment either. I'm with you on it. I would go one step further. Personally, as much as I say that was Collins that done X, Y, Z, or I believe it to be X, Y, Z, and he was a bigger issue than what Dial was, I'm actually probably more of the opinion that you might be, if I'm going to say this, and probably what guys like Conte are, that you're at your workplace, you're being a professional footballer, getting paid tens of thousands of pounds. For me, you won't get an option of having chips and a burger or iron brew or tomato sauce, whatever. You'll be given legitimately a meal that will be designed by nutritionists and dietitians that will get you in the best shape of your life, sort of thing. What you do on the outside of the work kind of place between match days or rest, that's on you. But you better fucking keep yourself in whatever shape it is that you need to do so that when you come back into your workplace, you're in top condition. I wouldn't give them an option.
That was your... was that your best John Collins impression there?
Aye. Get what I mean?
Aye. Listen, the last comment there before we're going to go as well was something that I actually spoke about. I might have spoken about this with Dale the other day. Joe Agnew says, hail boys, what about Ralston playing more up front, plus you and Henderson getting a game? This is why our players are all injured, can't play other games as they are injured.
Can I take this one? For Ralston, so in the second half, whenever Forrest got the injury, so correct me if I'm wrong, but Ralston came on and Josip Juranovic moved up to midfield and Ralston moved into right back. So it was Juranovic who became more advanced and Ralston went into the right back. And one of the punters sitting behind me said that they were glad about that because it was in the kind of nearing the end stages of the second half, and he was fearing that we had to shore up with physicality at the back, and he saw that as a good point. That's what the punter said, and I could see his point. But in terms of Joseph Agnew's point there about Ralston playing more up front, like he's quite effective at getting the crosses in, and I think that is through his physicality and his determination. So I think maybe he could do a job, but McGinty, what would you prefer? Would you prefer Juranovic, who already has experience as a midfielder? Would you prefer him to be more advanced or Ralston to be more advanced, if both of them are to play together, perhaps?
Neither. I can see arguments for, obviously, if we're struggling for players due to injuries. I think there was conversations a few days ago about possibly Abada playing up front through the middle, Forrest on the right, Mikey on the left sort of idea. Perhaps through that situation, if Forrest comes off, then you look to play Ralston or Juranovic as a double up on the right side. It would be a very short fix, a very temporary fix on a one-off basis for me. Push comes to shove, from what I've seen of both of them, I'd put Ralston further up front. I think Ralston defensively And this is still harking back to the last season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons ago. I don't think he's that great, although he's proven otherwise this season. But this season as well, give him his compliments for what he's done this season. He's made some great forward runs, great overlapping runs on the right side, great cutting in. He's set up a few goals, scored a couple of great goals by cutting in from the kind of right wing into the central positions. So if it's a choice between the two of them to play both on the right-hand side, I'd play Ralston just a little bit further up.
Interesting question. And by the way, Ewan is it Liam or Ewan? Fuck, I get them mixed up. Henderson.
Ewan.
What one?
Ewan
Henderson's current. Liam's in Italy.
Serie A. Yeah. Aye. Ewan, it'd been interesting to see more game time from him. I don't know what his perfect position is. I don't think he's a white man. But it'll be interesting to see if he gets more game time to see what he's capable of. Guys, do you want to move on? In fact, the injury crisis. So, no, in fact, fuck it.
See, before we do, Gav, we've put the first comment about ketchup. So there's Dale for the Celtic supporters.
There's always one, Dale. There's always one.
Poor Dale loves the ketchup.
I'm merry a brown sauce, man, to be honest.
I was just going to say, if it was brown sauce, we wouldn't have any debate here. It would just be always on the menu.
Right, fuck it. This is getting
especially with your bacon rolls.
This is getting too saucy for me. Let's move on.
Fuck off. Right. Aye. Can you take that banner away? We need to mention the Green Brigade protest, the silent protest. Sorry, and then we'll move on because it's still kind of part of the Motherwell game. So for the entire 90 minutes, so you've got a few groups that are kind of I don't want to use the word in cahoots, but you've got a few groups in unison who are taking part in the silence, and this is the continuation of the protest against Bernard Higgins. Now, this is like a soap drama, and I don't mean that in a derogatory term, a soap drama which is continuing on, and I don't know who's going to blink first between the Celtic board and the Celtic support. So I remember I actually read a few comments for Juranovic. I think it may have been at half-time, because the Celtic support are very, very quiet unless you've got the songs by these particular groups, such as the North Curve, the Boys, the Green Brigade. If the choir is not on form, then to be honest, the Celtic support mostly don't really sing. I don't think you could dispute that. So Juranovic was actually talking about it in his comments to say that the players were very much aware of that, and just whenever we scored the goal, I think it was just before half-time, the crowd came alive, and that must have been so noticeable for the players going into the dressing room and saying, fucking hear that, we didn't know where they were, but then all of a sudden we scored the goal and they're totally behind us. Very, very noticeable. But McGinty, with the protest, the silence, it doesn't really help the team. Yes, they're probably making the point to the board, but who's going to blink first? Would you prefer to are you cool with this? Would you like to see them continue, or would you prefer to see a different variation in protest, such as a boycott of the Celtic megastore, the Celtic shops, that sort of thing? That will hit the club where it hurts, but it's not really going to hurt the 11 on the field. What's your thoughts on that? That's a bit of a loaded question.
How much time do we have tonight, guys? How far do you want me to go on this one? For me personally, I'm fine with it. The silent protest, I'm fine with it. Obviously, I get that everybody wants Celtic Park to be jumping. We want it to be rocking. We want the fans to be all singing the songs from every corner, every stand, every seat, every week if we can. We know that's not always the case, and when it comes to it, we're generally renowned for our noise in the stadium. So I understand it, and I can see why the silent protest was a choice option for this game, well, for the last couple of games. It makes a statement. If not for two things, I don't know if that's the right term that I'm using. For two reasons, though, it makes a good statement. One, it takes notice by the players. It's good to hear that you just said that Juranovic has made point about that. The players are taking notice. They're going to be talking about it in the dressing room, on the training pitch now. The manager's going to have taken notice of it, and no fine well, Ange Postecoglou, who's took notice of, he's made comments as well. That's going to filter up the chain, hopefully. Let's not have that settle in. it's good that we got the win because we can't blame the fans for that negativity outside of it. But the other, I think, what personally I feel a silent protest does for a club like Celtic, who is known for the Green Brigade, the North Curve, overall all the support clubs, not support clubs, but all the fan groups in there making the noise every game. We're known for that across Europe, as much as Dortmund are known for the yellow wall and stuff like that. We're known for that. And clubs, other fans, ultras, and other clubs are taking note that Celtic Park is fallen silent for some reason. Now, this might not make much of a difference, really, but it's one little extra step in the long line of things that the fans need to do, escalating the issue a little bit further. That now, hopefully, we get more support from other clubs. Obviously, we're not going to get much support from Scottish football, but we get more support from other clubs out there who are taking note of the reason why we're doing this. Maybe it just puts a little bit more reputational pressure on the board not to do what we still fear they're about to do. Yeah, my hope, though, is that actually we continue to escalate. So we started it off by saying, making noise on online forums and message boards and Twitter and stuff like that. Let's not go down the Bernard Higgins route. We then done the sit-ins after the game, so we didn't affect the fans didn't affect the game. They done the sit-in afterwards. We've done the open letter, which we as a podcast have signed up to agreeing with the letter as well. And now the fans are going into the next stage of silent protest. I think it's a reasonable escalation of things to come, and I would expect at some point we might escalate it to outside protests where there might be a few chants and a few banners and stuff. But we know what the Celtic board's like when we do that. They just basically lock the doors and tell us to fuck off. So we've been at that stage before. We're now trying it from a different approach. Let's see if it actually works. I'm for it. It's not ideal. We want the noise. We want the atmosphere. But what else can we really do?
Well, there is the popular opinion that the board are heartless bastards. I think that a silent protest, I'm playing devil's advocate here, but I think a silent protest is going to hurt the players more in the short term than the board in the short term. I think with the board being financially motivated, it would hit them more if we hurt them in the pockets.
More than likely, Gavin, more than likely, but we had that opportunity a few months ago when we announced no manager, and yet we announced season tickets being on sale. And we all collectively, as a fan group, as a whole support base, had that choice and that opportunity then when this club announced season ticket sales with no manager. And what did the fans do? We all bought into it. So financially, we've given up that route.
Yeah, I think Bernard Higgins thing is changed the landscape entirely. That's very much an emotional wedge that's came through between the fans and the board, which is just taking it that wee bit further. I think it's much more charged. Paddy, do you have your tuppence worth on that before we move on to the injury crisis?
I could probably go on all night, Gav, but what I'll do is I'll say that I agree with the stance that these guys are taking, and I know that it is affecting the atmosphere at Celtic Park. Right? There's no question in that. But you've got to look at a couple of things here. These guys are, as my getting to say, they're doing it for a reason. This isn't just a kind of toys out the pram thing, as I've seen a lot of comments about the aim towards these groups and that. This has been an escalation, and an open letter was sent out with an invitation to the acting CEO, Michael Nicholson. They were asking for a sit-down meeting, a conversation, so that they could air their views. Right, that's all this is. The board haven't even had the decency to answer them back. Right, so the guys are saying, well, if you are going to give us silence, we're giving you silence, and they've released they've released the letters, and they've said that we will stop this silence immediately if you will give us some sort of communication about willing to sit down and speak to us. We're not saying that we're going to remain silent forever. We're not saying that if you appoint Higgins, we're going to be sort of, I say we, this is the letter. They're not saying that if you appoint Higgins, then we're going to be silent forever. They're saying, please answer us, because we've asked you nicely. You are just ignoring us, so you'll be getting silence back. And Gav, I sat and watched a I sat and watched over again the video on the Fans Against Criminalisation site. Now, if you look at some of the absolute horrendous behaviours and actions that was aimed towards football fans, Celtic fans, and football fans across Scotland, when this Offensive Behaviour at Football Act was brought in, it was an absolute disgrace. And your man Higgins was very much a focal part of it. Now, the thing is starting to gall me with this board is that the board actually came out later on in the years, in the time of this bill, and they actually came out against it. They actually came out against the way that people were being treated. You know, people were being dragged out their house, people were getting to jail. The conviction rate was fucking terrible, but the arrest rate, the court fucking rates and all that were sky high. So people were getting arrested for all sorts of crimes, and they weren't getting convicted of it. And as I say, the board actually came out against it, and now the board is now trying to bring in one of these senior figures who was so much played an important part in the victimisation of Celtic supporters, not just Celtic supporters, football supporters. So how can these guys look themselves in the face? You know what I mean? You look at the Green Brigade, the guys in the North Curve, all the guys that bring out this support. They don't need to do it. They do it off their own backs. How people are moaning because of silence for a couple of games. See if this guy Higgins gets the job, there's going to be people getting dragged out the game during that. There won't be anybody left to sing at all. You know what I mean? So you know what?
Look, we know the reasons. We know the reasons that they're protesting. I'm just raising the question: is this form of protest going to hurt the team more than it's going to hurt the board? That's the question I'm raising. So last point for Celtic Supporters Podcast: as much as I don't agree with the silent protest, you can't chastise those groups whenever 57,000 sit and sing fuck all instead of moaning. Fucking sing. There's definitely two sides to the argument. Let's move on to the injury crisis. In fact, no, we've got Kenny here. Kenny saying, I'm 100% against Higgins being anywhere near the club, but this protest is causing issues between fans. Atmosphere in 414 on Sunday was occasionally toxic. The team badly needed our support. In fact, I was at the game and I remember hearing a chant rise up from a certain section to say, you can stick your silent protest up your arse. It wasn't the most melodic chant I've ever heard. But
funnily enough, Gav, that's probably the first time that they actually opened their mouths. You know what I mean? Was to make that chant instead of backing the team. So yeah.
Right. Okay. I think we've got a few disagreements here tonight as well. Look, Paddy, mate,
part of being on a podcast.
Aye. Okay, I won't drag it out any further. Definitely an emotionally charged topic, but the question is it done in the right channel? Some people say yes, some people say no. But the injury crisis is something that we can all agree upon. It's not fucking fun, is it? So Forrest is out injured, and Mikey Johnson also taken off injured. So do we have enough to combat this injury crisis? Every week is a big week in this month of December. We're clinging on to the coattails Rangers right now. We're 4 points behind, and those pricks are still churning out the results. We are still churning out the results too, so we've been doing magnificently, but it does seem like luck is against us. We've got Giamakis out, we've got Ajeti out, we've got Kyogo out, and we've got Forrest out as well. And Johnson, he might be a doubt for tomorrow night's game against Ross County. And it's... Paddy, I have to kind of agree with you. I disagreed with you a couple of weeks back when you raised the point. Is it symptomatic of the intensity of the training by Postecoglou? And at one point, I was thinking, no, they had a good pre-season, so they should all be fit. They should all be ready to meet the demands of Postecoglou. But I think it's been a bit of a shock to the system. It's probably, I was probably a kind of... You were right. I was wrong. I think that's the point I wanted to make.
Well. Just as you say that, Gav, I was watching the press conference with Postecoglou, and he actually said that the injury crisis like this is common in his first year with a new squad, which is it appears to be that way because you look at how much he's pushing the guys. And I'm sure he said the other day that he's prepared to push his players to the limits. Whether or no he's pushing them by those limits, he doesn't know yet, because he's trying to instill an intensity into the squad. So guys are obviously going to have to step up to the mark on that. But he also said that if he was to drop that kind of levels of intensity and the way he wants his players to play, he says that if they change the way they train and play, if he thinks it would help, but he's not going to do it because he doesn't think we'll be as successful on the pitch if he does change it. So I think there's a bit of logic behind that, but when you look at how threadbare the squad was at the start, you know, our forward players are dropping like flies. Thank God it's coming up towards the end of the year, in a sense, but not really, because we've got so many games to play. But we definitely need to get bodies in January. And if you're talking about like the guys like Hatati coming in, Maeda, the other Japanese fella, I can't remember his name. That's going to beef up that. Well said. That's going to beef up the numbers in a positive way, hopefully. But again, like you're losing big players like your Jotas, Furuhashi as well. Who else? Forrest was obviously he picked up a slight injury the other day, and then he had to play on Sunday, and he pulled up again when he was galloping down the left hand side. You saw it he in the replay when he was running. He winced. You know, you could see that he done something. So instead of taking his man on, he stopped, kind of grabbed the back of his leg whilst he was still playing football, passed it away instead of taking the man on. And then you look at a guy like Mikey Johnson, who's had to come in and be more of a feature because of Jota's injury. I think he came on in the 18th minute, and he had to come off again. I think it was like 76 minutes, something along those lines. So he's had the unfortunate being subbed as a sub, but that's through injury again. So Gav, it's one of the ones. It's hard to kind of judge, because you can see that players are being stretched to the limit. The manager's telling you that, but he's also telling you that he's not going to change his ways. So what do you do?
Yeah. Well put, well summed up. McGinty, kind of last word on the injury crisis. Do we have enough to see it through until the end of this month? And by the way, it all culminates to the 2nd of January. That's the big one. So we'll try to get all these fucking results, but 2nd of January is the big one against Rangers.
Probably no is the real answer here. But as I said earlier on, with the result against Motherwell in so many games and whatnot, I'll take 1-0 wins, born as football, if we can just start making sure that we're getting players back at a reasonable rate and not risking them too much. So if it's sluggish games, players out of positions, maybe not the strongest players in each position, just to see us through but still get the wins, I'll fucking take it. As far as we need more players in. We need seeing Forrest and Mikey going off injured. It's almost like, who else do we actually have? Jota's out, Mikey's out, Forrest is out. It might end up playing Liam Scales at left back and Greg Taylor on left wing at one point, and the same on the right side with Ralston and Juranovic. If that's what it costs us, then so be it. Although surely Karamoko Dembele must be due back sometime soon to play on the right wing.
We'll see. The good thing is, I mean, I know obviously we're kind of dropping like flies in the forward areas, but we're getting guys back from injury. i.e. Starfelt's back. He played well again at the weekend with Big Carter Vickers. Who else? Greg Taylor came back. I thought actually Greg Taylor did a no bad game. I think he grew into the game. So
it's going to be fucking hard. He's 5'0", man. I don't think that the defense is not a worry right now. In terms of like goals conceded in the league, we know what we're very, very good defensively actually, which is like kind of going against the popular narrative in the media. But the injury crisis is really hurtful up front, and that's where you've got the most pressing. Those players from middle to front they are really, really pressing like fuck, and that's where we're dropping like flies. And I think, like Joseph Agnew picked up on it earlier on about people like Ewan Henderson, I think he might actually feature more. If well, we need Abada, like fuck, Abada like was like at the bottom of the pecking order at one point. But we really, really have to rely upon him. We need him to show his confidence and start getting putting in some good performances. But if Forrest is out, we need Mikey to be on form, and we need him to actually be fit, and we need Abada to be doing well. Without those guys, then we've got no width. Like, who the fuck is going to provide us with any width? I don't know.
Well, as one you said earlier on, you could potentially, if needs be, you could play Taylor at left back, you could play Ralston at right back, you could play. Sorry, you could play Scales at left back, you could play Ralston at right back, you could play Taylor kind of left wing or Juranovic right wing. Do you know what I mean? It's something that teams have got to deal with at times, and that's when we should be using the full squad that we've got. I know it's kind of threadbare. I mean, there's Kenny said that if you look at Pep's, Guardiola's, and Klopp's first seasons at the clubs, they had the same issues with soft tissue injuries. Took a season to get it sorted with players getting used to the intensity. So that alludes to exactly what I said. Postecoglou was his comments at the press conference. So, it's no ideal, but as McGinty said, if we can still continue the momentum and keep turning out these results, then ideal, because I think we've only lost one game in 15, and this is us at a depleted squad, and I think Furuhashi's going to be back soon. Hopefully he's back for the cup final. I know Jota's out for the cup final, but obviously we go to Dingwall Sunday, which is going to be another test. But if we can continue to pass teams off the park, and and we can continue to rely on guys like Roderick, being an absolute magician and pulling us out of a hole instead of like a rabbit out of the hat, which he's been doing, then that's ideal. But we just need to fucking pull the socks up, mate, and go on with it.
Very true. Very true. Right, let's move on to the Europa Conference draw, or which I refer to as Europa Sexy draw. And we have drew the Norwegian champions, Bodo Glimt, or I would actually refer to them as Bodo Grim. They're from the Northern Arctic Circle in Norway. It sounds fucking grim. This is a place where, like, ships go missing, where people die because of polar bears. This team, champions 2 years in a row in Norway. So they're beating the likes of Mold. By the way, last season they walked the league by over 20 points, and I think just on Sunday there they became champions by 3 points superior to Mold. Now this is quite an interesting team, because whenever I heard of it, me being ignorant, I hear Bodo Glimt, I'm like, fuck, I don't know anything about them. Surely they'll be easy pickings. But no, they're not. The most kind of well publicised thing about them is that they beat Roma 6-1 at home. Like, fucking hell. Jose Mourinho's team. I watched the highlights of that. So yeah, so they beat them 6-1 at home, and then they went away to Estadio Olimpico, and they drew 2 each in Rome. This is a team who play 4-3-3. They've got a few Norwegian internationals. They do look like a stereotypical Scandinavian team in terms of like tall, athletic, but they're a young team. I don't think they're easy pickings at all. So what was your first impressions whenever you heard we drew Bodo Grim? Were you optimistic? Were you fearful?
A little bit fearful, but not because I know too much about them, but just because of the very few things that we've all kind of got to know about them in the last kind of year or so. Obviously, the Roma scalps are big scalps. You have to take notice of that. Same with if you look at that team Sheriff, who have playing was at Real Madrid's group. They've these are teams that we've recognised the name in the European context of being a team that you kind of see in the qualifying rounds or whatever. But you would normally think, all right, they'll be fine. We'll get them in the second qualifying round leg. We'll get rid of them easy enough, maybe, a tricky away leg or whatever, but you wouldn't think too much about it. But these teams are now showing up in the group stage and actually putting in good performances. And from what I'm led to believe, it's not just a Roma scalp. They've actually shown themselves up quite well. Just while you're having that intro to the topic there, Gavin, I wanted to have a look and see how far north are this mob in Norway. And yeah, you're right, pretty fucking far north. They're a lot further north than I am, and I tell you, it's pretty cold and windy up here just now. They, judging by the map, it's further from where I am in Shetland to Bodo Glimt. That distance is further than it is from here to London. It shows you the kind of the scale of how far north they must be, and even more so if you need to know how far north on Google Maps, they're further north than the top end of Iceland. So it's got to be one hell of an away trip for coldness, I'll tell you that, because it's pretty fucking grim up here right now.
Aye. Paddy, this was a team who they were defeated actually by Josip Juranic's Legia Warsaw. That was in the first qualifier for the Champions League. But then moving into the group stage, as we know, they beat Roma at home. They drew with Roma away. But the other two teams that they faced in the Europa group stage was Zorya Luhansk from Ukraine. Again, a home win, and they drew away. And finally, CSKA Sofia, who I think Killian Sheridan might have played for them for Bulgaria, and again they won at home, they drew away. These guys never lost a game, which, regardless of who you play in Europe, that is something to be said. Now, because it's so far up north, it's hard to maintain a grass pitch, so these guys actually play on AstroTurf, and I think that's actually a blessing in disguise, because otherwise you're putting on your fucking your ice skates playing on grass. That's an injury concern. So AstroTurf it is, and a good thing, by the way, is we're going to be playing them in February. Now their season is just finished there at the weekend, so they're still going to be. They're going to have a break. The players are going to have a month break in February. I think the 17th, whenever we play our first game against them at Parkhead, they're only going to be doing the pre-season of that. So you know what it's like for us. We get caught cold every fucking August or July it is, and the Champions League qualifiers. We're like fish out of water at that point, you know. So hopefully it's going to be the same for them, that they're going to be vulnerable and we can take advantage of them.
That's a very good point, Gavin. That's a very good point, because it's exactly what we think. It's the flip alternative, isn't it? Then we come up against the Russians and the Norwegian mobs. Mobs makes it sound so negative. But when we come up against these teams in qualifying, that is always the first thing that we say is, oh, look, they're 14 games into a season and we're 2 games into preseason. This is a disaster for us, and it's always a tricky tie. So that's a great point to bring up there, Gavin, is that, yeah, this game is going to be a preseason game for them. A very good point. And they'll want to win it. There's no doubt about it. They will want to win it. The financial revenue that will come from them getting into the... Did we go into the last 16, or do more teams drop down after this round of the last 82? I can't remember. But there's more money to be garnered by going into the next round. It might only be a few 100,000 or just shy of 1 million, but that's more money for a team like Bodo Glimt, even a team like ourselves, that you want to have at your disposal. So they will be going for this game, and they'll be encouraged by the performances against the likes of Roma and stuff. So let's not take them lightly, but a great point nonetheless to acknowledge it. They're going to be early days in the season.
Well, see another hopeful kind of point is that if their season's finished, you know, and they've played reasonably well in Europe, is that potentially they could have a few players signed from them. You know, obviously with teams opening up in the January transfer window. So if they're at the end of the season and they've got, I'm pretty sure the guy that scored a couple of goals against Roma, can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I'm sure he was actually being looked at by Roma and another Italian team to sign him in January. So that would be a nice bonus too.
Their captain in the centre midfield, Berg, who got a few goals. He actually said in an interview, Patrick Berg.
Did he not play at Copenhagen or something as well?
He may have done so. But he said in an interview that he's got 1 year left in his contract, and it's best if the club sell him to make money. And that's what they've been doing. Last season, they sold a bunch of players to France, Germany, Spain. But another question for you, Paddy. So again, we're learning more about this club as we kind of progress. But you're for the East End of Glasgow, so you've probably seen a few kind of funny characters, funny sights in your time living there. But what would your impression be whenever this mob visit us and you've got a group of Norwegians marching up the Gallagate, clad in yellow and brandishing giant toothbrushes?
Well, the first thing I would probably do would be to send them down towards Brigton, because I don't know if they know what a toothbrush is. Would you give me that toothbrush?
Right. Okay. So this is part of their tradition. The fans are synonymous with giant toothbrushes. So whenever we actually visit them, they're going to hand our Captain Calmac a toothbrush. That this is what they've been doing since like the 70s.
Right.
The fans, the fans, they carry about giant toothbrushes. In the crowd, I don't know if it's a weapon. So that's another thing. Like, have you ever seen like a giant toothbrush being used as a weapon in the Gallagate before? I do not know. I think that's going to be something new. I don't know how the police are going to tackle that.
I've seen one being used in Berlin though. all you need to do is melt a couple of razor blades on it, and that's you sorted for a chip.
Yeah. Well, like Portland Timbers, who were playing the other night against Ronald's team, they're synonymous with them. Whenever their team score a goal, they get a chainsaw and they saw off a bit of timber. But these guys are different. They walk about with giant toothbrushes. That's the thing. Aye. I sent you the house, didn't I?
What I'm hearing here, guys, is
fair enough, mate. At least it gives you something to smile about, I suppose.
What I'm hearing here, guys, is we need some sort of little sketch every time we score. We'll get the leprechauns coming out or something and throwing money at a pot of gold or something. We need to bring in the entertainment value and get I don't know. We need to do something apparently this is what's getting talked about in football now. So maybe we should do something like that.
Well, listen, you can get the jail. You can get the jail here for walking about with a flag as an offensive weapon. So I'd love to see one of these poor Norwegian guys up in court on a Monday morning, up in court for brandishing an offensively large toothbrush. You know what I mean?
Do you bristle at the idea of that?
No, I'd probably just brush it off, mate.
Mate, fucking the
Colgate. A fresh take.
I've heard of the ice cream wars, but no the fucking Colgate wars, huh?
Oh, that was planted.
Right, okay.
Anyway, enough of us tubes about that.
True. Right, okay, so tomorrow night we've got Ross County. Ross County are sitting joint bottom on 14 points. They've actually played 16. They've won 3. They've drawn 5 and lost 8. Now, I was looking over their past few fixtures, and even whenever they played Rangers at Ibrox, they still managed to score 2 goals. But in their past 5 or so fixtures, they've managed to get draws, they managed to get wins, but it's all been like 1-goal margins here or there. So these guys are very, very frugal. They're very, very stingy when it comes to conceding goals. Historically, nobody fucking enjoys going up to Dingwall to play Ross County on a cold. Tomorrow will be Wednesday, on a cold Wednesday night in Dingwall. Yeah, nobody likes that, and especially whenever we've got our injury crisis. I think we're going to have to just man up, roll the sleeves up, and fucking go for it. It's looking a difficult one on paper. McGinty, what do you think of that?
Yeah, it's never an easy place to go. Ross County, Dingwall. It's a long slog of a journey where we've got a lot of injuries. We're trying to nurse our way through these fixtures. On paper, the second bottom, joint bottom, or whatever it is.
Joint bottom.
It should be easy enough on paper, but it's never easy enough in Ross County. I remember a game a few years ago, sitting with the old man watching it, and I think it was like 1-0 or something going into the last 10 minutes. And it was one of those games, much like the Motherwell game just passed, a case of, are we going to have enough to see this out? And 1-0's not going to be enough, and all the rest of it. You're worried about that second goal. And then all of a sudden, the last 8 minutes of the Ross County game, I think it was, we ended up scoring 3 goals, and it was like a 4-0 game. And it flattered to deceive that we were that good. It's going to be something similar, I think. It's going to be a slog. I'm not expecting to be firing on all cylinders. And I don't think Ange is going to expect it either. I'll go back to what I said against Motherwell. 1-0 win, see it through, no injuries, I'll be happy.
Aye. Well, as you're alluding to, every game that we play right now with a depleted squad, the next game is always the potential banana skin. Paddy, do you think tomorrow will be the time where we lose points, or are you still confident?
I'm kind of unsure now because we're missing key guys up front. We're at bare bones in the attacking areas. We're going up to Ross County on a horrible Wednesday night. You know, it's Malky Mackay's team, so you know fine well that their defenders are going to be kind of rugged, horrible. But they've got a couple of decent players, Ross County. I mean, they've got that Dominic Samuel up front, who's decent calibre. I think he played with Blackburn a few years ago. You've got the guy Charles Cook on the wing. He'll come and have a go at our fullbacks. You've got that guy I know. I don't know his first name. He's got a lovely second name. It's Hungbo, and he scored an absolute screamer. I think it was last month. I think it goal of the month. So he's another guy on the wings that can give you a horrible night. But listen, it's one of the ones we just need to turn up. We need to convert our chances if and when we get them, because that's something that we've not been doing. Even with a full lineup up front, we don't score enough of the chances that we create. We absolutely dominate possession. We pass it well, but we just don't convert enough chances. And tomorrow night it's going to be even harder because we're lacking key players. But you're going to be dependent on guys like Rogic, Abada.
I would want Ralston to play tomorrow for the physicality. Move Juranovic back to left back.
Absolutely. And do you know what I'd probably do there, Gav? I'd probably play Ralston at right wing and move Abada to the left. But Abada really needs to play a game tomorrow night. He needs to turn up because it's something that I don't think he's done enough of this season. So we're going to need everybody at full strength tomorrow night. Defenders, I'm sure will be comfortable enough because they have been playing well. Obviously, you've got Big Joe Hart at the back who's been immense. You just look at that double save against Motherwell. It's incredible. So fingers crossed and hopefully get another result.
Oh, I'm getting the fear almost.
I know. I might
getting the fear talking about it.
I might need to have a few beers tomorrow to settle my nerves.
And tomorrow night I think Rangers are playing at home to St Johnstone. I was hoping that Hearts would take points off them at the weekend, but they did not, even though they did pepper their goal. So hopefully, luck will come in the strangest of places. Maybe St Johnstone might do us a wee turn tomorrow. But the other big thing at the end of this week, McGinty, is the Celtic and Hibs. So it's the cup final, and it's something that Rangers are not in. It's us. We're there on merit, and Hibs. And again, why I should throw in this one. So Hibs, they have lost Jack Ross. They've been on a shite run, but it's like the first time that they've actually kind of been it's the first kind of crisis point that they had under Jack Ross. I think they might have pulled the trigger too early for that one. But one thing is, how will Hibs be for this weekend? Do you think they'll be in disarray? And a wee rumour that we've heard today was Sean Maloney might be a kind of potential candidate for the manager's job. Better than fucking Neil Lennon. I think Neil Lennon's linked with Ipswich, perhaps. But yeah, how do you think Hibs will be for this weekend? And what type of shape? What type of mentality? And what do you make of the rumour about Sean Maloney?
Shape, mentality. Don't give a fuck, to be honest. They've not got a manager. I hope that screws them over a little bit because I want us to win. I think it comes down to, again, I've said it 3-4 times now, if we win 1-0 at the weekend, no injuries, and we lift the cup, I'll be happy, extremely happy. I won't be expecting anything major, although I will obviously expect that we do win the game. We should always have enough to win these games of footballs. As for the Sean Maloney rumour, and we'll give it a little bit of time because obviously Sean Maloney, the prodigal son, as he was once named at Celtic, I think it'd be a great appointment for both Sean Maloney and Hibs. Hibs will get the experience and knowledge that he's garnered for the last 3-4 years under the watch of Martinez at Belgium and stuff, he's worked with some class players at Belgium. You look at the Hazards and the why is his name went
Lukaku.
from the top of my head? Thank you, Lukaku. I was going to say Benteke there for some reason, but yeah, Lukaku.
De Bruyne.
De Bruyne stuff. The class that he's worked with, the level that he's worked at, the knowledge that he's developed. Boyata, what a player! But he's worked with some, truly world class players, and he's obviously not going to bring those world class players to Hibs. Not a fucking chance in hell. But he'll bring the mentality, he'll bring the knowledge that those players are bringing to the national side at Belgium and vice versa. So I think it'd be a great appointment for Hibs. It'll be very forward thinking, very modern, given a young guy like Sean Maloney and the coaching kind of managerial aspect of it. It'll be a great opportunity for both of them. And it's an opportunity that John Kennedy was pitched to have, was it just before Jack Ross took the job as well? So they've looked beyond John Kennedy now for whatever reason. Maybe they weren't happy last season with how he handled the big job at Celtic. Maybe Celtic have basically closed the door to any job like that for John Kennedy. For John Kennedy, because he's obviously happy at the job now, and Andrew's very happy with him here. So that's all good. So it's a good move for both, I think, and I think it would be great to see Sean Maloney back in the SPFL, back at a club like Hibs, especially in green and white, and seeing what he can do. Just hopefully they don't sign him until Monday morning.
By the way, do you know who his assistant manager is going to be?
FM Juarez.
Let me think.
Oh, Gary Caldwell.
Gary Caldwell.
Really, eh?
I guess at least Gary Caldwell's acknowledged that he's not a number one.
He's definitely number two.
Aye.
Really, eh? Gary Caldwell is number 2 and Sean Maloney is the number 1.
Yep.
It's not the worst pairing. It's not the worst pairing as a managerial duo.
You definitely can't see Sean Maloney being the kind of the shouting manager, the aggressive manager. I guess like some people do surprise you. Whenever I heard Kieran Tierney a few years ago talk about Calmac as captain material for Celtic, that surprised me. And even when Calmac was made captain, I know that I'm totally digressing here, but I'll bring it back to the point. Whenever Calmac was made captain this season, I was thinking, he doesn't really strike me as captain material, but he really fucking is. He's just really surprised me. And sometimes you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, which is what I had done. So I think whenever you look at Sean Maloney, the wee kind of small guy, he looks kind of meek, looks rather timid, but I think, as McGinty said about the football knowledge that he's garnered, I think that maybe he could surprise a few people. Maybe he could make a breakthrough. Maybe he could forge a career as a manager. Certainly, the experience he's had with Belgium.
You better not do it on Sunday.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So long as they sign him on Monday morning, we'll be happy. We won't have to see him lose, and equally, we won't have that risk that he beats us. So Monday morning will be good.
Well, as you say, if he signs on Monday morning, that's fucking neither here nor there. So it'll be David Gray who'll be taking charge of Hibs, the guy that scored that memorable winner against the Sevco those years ago for Alan Stubbs. So he's going to be the manager. So he's a guy that loves Hampden. But you're hoping for us that we're going to be coming into the game with a result against Ross County, and hopefully coming back with Kyogo being in the first team, because I know that Postecoglou was asked about Kyogo and if he's going to be fit, and he said that Kyogo said he is fit, but the physio department has said he's at least 2 to 3 weeks away. I don't know, it's going to be a hard one. It really is.
I feel sorry. I feel sorry for the guys like him and Jota who've been on brilliant form this season. I feel so sorry for them that they miss out on a bit of silverware. Potentially, but I'm fucking taking it for granted that we're going to win. I feel sorry for them, but I feel sorry for myself that I'm going to have to watch whatever fucking team that we assemble for this weekend and try and make it through, because I'll be nervous. You'll always be nervous to an extent. We're not going into it with everybody available. We don't know who's going to make it through the game tomorrow night. hopefully adrenaline will just like carry everybody through, and they'll be fit for the game. But fuck me, man. I wouldn't say that Hibs are like a devastating team. I'd be more fucking worried about Ryan Porteous and who you might injure. You know, the guys. I know that the guy is being winded up at the Goblins on the other side of the city, but Porteous is capable of a nasty challenge.
He's also capable of a red card as well. So let's hope.
That's what I was just going to say there, Paddy. If we take the media narrative of Ryan Porteous, then you'd expect him to be sent off on Sunday, because if he plays that kind of game and if he's being refereed in the same fashion, he's more likely to be sent off. Although it might actually be because he ends up injuring one of our players.
Yeah. We're going to have to utilise the squad to the maximum. And as Kenny just said there, by the way, Kenny, thank you so much to yourself and to Joseph Agnew and to the Celtic Supporters Podcast for weighing in with your points tonight. But Kenny's saying, worried about tomorrow night's game. And as for the cup final, it's going to be very difficult, as Hibs will well be up for it. We really need to put the chances away when the opportunity arises in games. And I think it's just one of the ones. We've got so many games coming that we need to take just game by game by game. I don't think we've got the luxury of looking forward to the weekend.
We also had a wee comment there for Feed the Bear. How you doing, mate? Sorry, overlooked that. No, you never get blocked, mate. You're still here.
Aye. Right, guys. Kind of maybe a wee bit nervous looking forward to the next couple of games. For what's at stake, you know, I'd be so happy for Ange if he gets his hands on that cup for Celtic, and so happy for the players as well. But anyway, we've been through a few interesting topics tonight. So thanks very much for that. And to the viewers, again, thank you so much for tuning in. So we're available, of course, on YouTube, as we said at the start. We're on Twitter, we're on Spotify, we're on Facebook. So please get in touch with us, and please, if you're enjoying the content, then please continue with that. So thank you so much. But guys, any final comments from yourself before we sign off tonight?
Not for me. Just looking forward to the next few games. Long may the streak of wins and good performances stay up, and let's get some silverware come Sunday.
Same here. Obviously, we need to take it one game at a time. So tomorrow night is going to be crucial. We need to come away with that with another 3 points, regardless of what other results happen elsewhere. We just need to keep building the momentum, keep it going, and then look forward to Sunday, and hopefully come away with the first piece of silverware of the season. Put the marker on it.
Aye, it'll be great. I think one way or another, I will be very, very drunk on Sunday.
I shall join you.
I'm up for doing a podcast, even if I'm totally incoherent. We'll do it anyway. Right, guys, thank you very much for tonight, and I guess we'll sign off then. So hail, and best of luck to Ange's boys for tomorrow night in Dingwall. Good night.
Hail, boys. All the best.